Thank you for the invite to your exciting initiative. A quick introduction from me without any of those acronyms. My name's Andrew Collinge. I work as an advisor in Dubai Digital Authority, and prior to that, I did 1.5 Boris Johnsons and half a Sadiq Khan when I headed up the analytics and smart cities team in the Greater London Authority. But here today talking to you as part of the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance. And I want to do two things over the course of my short presentation, which is to introduce you to the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance and tell you a little bit about the work that we have done, and more importantly, the work that we're planning to do on digital twin made real, and trying to push forward work around digital twins with respect to cities and city needs. What is the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance? Well, it's a network of about 100 pioneer cities based right the way across the globe, structured around regional hubs. And the idea behind the whole enterprise really is that we advance the responsible and ethical use of smart cities technologies. So we make sure that they are governed and adopted as well as they possibly can be. How do we do this? We have done it previously through a series of policies. So I was involved in developing an open data policy. This was brought together with chief data officers from Melbourne, Amsterdam, Central America, and Dubai, the Middle East, and then there are a series of other policies as well which fit under these broad headings. So openness and interoperability, security and resilience, privacy and transparency, and then operational and financial sustainability. You can see some of the topic areas that we've covered there in the initial range of policies that we've covered. We've been thinking though more recently that we need to deepen that model. It's great to produce policies. They're really helpful guides in helping cities sort of learn about these new technologies and data and how to adopt them. But we want to go deeper around collaboration and impact. So do more to bring together cities, industry, academia, so that we can achieve impact across governance and policy, data skills and urban challenges. And I think this is where we have a great fit with digital twins, which with regards to governance and policy, data skills and urban challenges have real touch points on the work that city authorities and municipal authorities are engaged in. So a couple of months ago, we ran a first workshop that really was trying to focus on city needs. And in doing so, we were trying to complement a lot of the work that has been done in industry and the sort of technology narrative that tends to surround digital twins, because the adoption from cities will come through a demonstration of values. So these are some of the areas in which we thought value could be delivered through digital twins: net zero, climate resilience, circular economy, building better connected urban services, and really making sure that digital twins were there as a tool to support the political and policy decisions that are made in municipal authorities. And on that point, when we ran the initial workshop, we were really looking for like chief strategy officers, chief policy officers, chiefs of staff in cities who are operating on that in that space between policy, strategy, meeting political needs, but also need to have an understanding of the technology as well. We didn't quite succeed in the first pass, which is quite telling. There were still quite a few CDOs, CDIOs in the call, but these are the sorts of cities that we took part. And again, I think they really reflect the spread of the Global Smart Cities Alliance that we run through the G20. We were very ably supported. Indeed, it wasn't a matter of support; it was a partnership effort by Melissa and Mark from the Digital Twin Hub, and Yelena Coleman, who at the time was at the Connected Places Catapult and who ran a demonstration of Credo for us on that last call. So what did we ask them? In very simple terms, what are they doing now? What knowledge do they have of digital twins? Where do they want to take digital twins in the future, given some of those needs that we've just identified? And what we're really trying to do is to understand whether or not these cities or indeed other industry partners want to be involved did a further piece of work, which could be a model policy, which could be a deeper, more involved piece of work around the adoption of digital twins for cities. So again, digital twins based around city needs. We asked them about these in more depth about these particular areas. So with regards to digital infrastructure investment, seeing what they understood about what sort of investment was needed, in data storage, right the way through to some of the more complex digital twin technologies. How do we allocate funding? How do you actually make the sort of political case for digital twins in a way that adds up for a politician or indeed for senior managerial leadership within an authority? Collaboration and partnerships as well. So what does a digital twin ecosystem actually look like? And we had some really good examples from cities like Rotterdam, where they are bringing together academia and are bringing together in industry as well, in a way that is pushing their digital twin on really quite effectively. These are the areas, though, where in a follow-up poll, we managed to get some sense of priority from cities. So again, I'm sure people on the call will find data sharing and interoperability one of the really sort of obvious pain points within work on digital twins. It's a priority for cities as well. Also, do cities have the digital skills needs and development so that they can sort of play their part in developing digital twins too? This was a concern for them. And then awareness and education. So across the whole range of city stakeholders that the city authority has to concern itself with, how do you educate them and build awareness around the applications and the benefits that digital twins can bring? And then what's the long-term strategies? Do you sort of build slowly? Do you federate and try and connect digital twins together on the basis of data sharing and interoperability? And so this is where we are right now. Just in closing, I would like to say that we do, having prioritised the areas in which we think there is a further piece of work to be done, need to make a decision on what further work we do. I don't want that necessarily to be a model policy. I think they're really helpful, but I do wonder whether there's some kind of toolkit around shared approaches for digital twins, drafting a set of business requirements that make sense to cities that would speak to the other side of the market. And I did notice as well, I think it's either further down this agenda or in the next meeting, there's an item on data sharing agreements for resilient infrastructure and digital and connected digital twins. That again might be a piece of work that would really complement what we're trying to do in the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance. So I suppose my call is, if you're interested, let us know. If you would like to, having heard about the kind of things that we're considering as a further piece of work, do contribute or do get in touch, and we'll see how you can contribute. So that's it, Simon. Thank you.
So the first question here, please, is for Andrew. It says, as an academic researcher, is there a way to get involved in the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance?
Thank you, Simon, and indeed to the person who asked the question. Yes, there is. We are always looking for sort of skilled policy writers with a background in urban technologies. So the best way to do it in the first instance is just to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll respond there.
Andrew, question for yourself, if you could please, is good observations that resonate. What are your learnings on educating city decision makers on what are digital twins? One of the biggest barriers for uptake is the lack of understanding about what they are. What is your 30-second summary of a digital twin that makes sense to them?
Okay, in 30 seconds. Well, I think we've still got some more educating to do. That's part of the reason why we want to do a model policy or indeed a more involved piece of work. I think my own observations through trying to sort of write a request for proposals for one and working with city leadership here in Dubai is we seem to struggle to understand what a digital twin is. Is it is it about managing a building or an asset in real time? Is it a sort of citywide strategic planning tool that sort of operates in real time or indeed delivers strategic planning analysis over a prolonged period? It's those things and everything else in between, which I think is why we want to try to break this down into meaningful, manageable, bite-sized chunks that city leadership can take and build in the comfort that they know it's not going to be a bottomless money well into which they're pouring money, which I think is probably their biggest fear.
Good. A link question, which you appreciate you just touched on a bit there, but we'll ask it anyway, is what are the typical use cases that cities are adopting using digital twins?
I think the ones that I've seen, I mean, I have some experience of London's sort of digital twin from a couple of years ago, which was about infrastructure planning and coordination. So a little bit like the Dig Once policy that we've developed through the Global Smart Cities Alliance. And then like the management of individual assets like tube lines, metro lines. On the industry side, I've seen an attempt to try and sort of pitch the sort of citywide planning tool, but I've not really seen a city out there try to sort of implement a use case on that scale. Tend to be narrower.
Very good, thank you. And this next question here is less of a question, more of a statement that I'll be sharing in the chat, the link to what that says on the agreed concepts and terminology for digital twins. So it'll be interesting to get a view of this audience, if this audience agrees with the agreed concepts and terminologies. Next question here is around Project 13, understanding that it's being discussed to help align digital twins and educate all parties. Is this something, Andrew, Jonathan, you have any comments on at all? I can see Melissa's on the call as well.
I can take this one if you want.
Go on, Melissa.
Oh, would you like me to take this? So Project 13 is a new model for delivering infrastructure, and it's an enterprise model. And part of that enterprise, the reason for setting up an enterprise is because it allows data and information to flow up and down and across. And so it's supposed to create the enabling environment for what we're talking about. And it's got 5 pillars, and one of the pillars is digital transformation, and therefore, yeah, digital twins kind of sits within that. And you're probably referring to the fact that we just published our data and digital principles for project success, so I can put a link to them in the chat as well.
Very good. Thank you, Melissa. Signing up for the Cyber Physical Forum that's happening this week. If you haven't received an invite, please do reach out to the DT Hub team, and they'll be able to assist you with that. Andrew, question for yourself is, do you intend to involve other global cities in the programme, and which?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The list that I showed is in no way sort of conclusive and closed. I'll go back to a couple of the points that I made when I was talking. You know, we're looking for cities, I suppose, who bring something a little different by way of a political and a policy aspect to the discussion. So again, you know, not necessarily understanding the technology from a deep perspective, but able to have a conversation about how that technology can be put to use so that it really does inform and improve city decision making and city operations. So if that's where, you know, where your interest lies, then we're especially interested. If you've made progress on digital twins, we're also interested.
Good, thank you, Jonathan. Question here, Andrew, for yourself, of the last 2 questions together, is one recent case study. Oh, it's disappeared. We'll ask this one instead. Which city do you feel is the furthest along on the journey for digital twins?
Well, I mean, amongst those that we had in on the call, I think obviously Singapore are very well advanced from a technical perspective, and I think Rotterdam as well, who I mentioned, seem to be sort of very on top of the ecosystem approach, with lots of partners involved in the delivery of their digital twin and good ideas about where they take it with regards to digital society and, you know, the metaverse and all manner of sort of exciting things in a roadmap. They're impressive.
Good. And the last question we have here is, one of the recent case studies for local authorities was not sharing data with emergency services. Is the G20 programme allowing or encouraging data sharing with them?
We wouldn't necessarily, I mean, we can't allow, because we don't have any influence over the particular jurisdiction. We would, of course, encourage, I think, given the right use case, which might sound like a bit of a bland answer, but I don't know about the case in question anyway. So,